Level 2, this is SportsRage. All right, I didn't get to New Mexico and UNLV. This is kind of a game. I was leaning with the Lobos. It's in Vegas. Vegas hung around with SDSU on Saturday, but the Aztecs ended up getting it done. I don't think UNLV suck, but I don't think they're kind of good. They're sort of finding themselves still. I think this game's going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be a close game, but UNLV, it's 21-20 right now. New Mexico closest 2-point road favorites. It's 21-21 now. But there's still 9 minutes left in the first half, and both teams have already committed 6 fouls, something I always keep my eye on. So we're going to be in the bonus here for like the rest of the half, and I think there's going to be some points. The total was like 150.5 or something, so we're not really losing too much value here at 155.5. So I'm going to bet the over 155.5 in-game here on UNLV and the New Mexico Lobos.
Good call, Gabe. There's a game at 11, too, San Jose State and San Diego State. San Diego State's laying 9.5 on the road. By the way, everybody, it's been upset night in college basketball. Number 1, Purdue getting smoked by Nebraska in that game. And Colorado State, the 17 team, Gabe, they lose to Boise State. It's been a lot of big upsets in college hoops tonight. The big dogs are falling.
The dogs are barking. Okay, so still 2-1 in this hockey game, huh? Wow.
Yes, it is.
Keep my eye on this in the last 5 minutes here. We're approaching the crunch time. 5:43 left, 2-1. Edmonton only have 15 shots on goal still. They just can't get any rubber on the net. So, McKinnis, let's start off with your Green Bay Packers. Hell of a run. You and I talked about the Packers. 40-year started. I love that over 7.5 win total. It was a roller coaster, but they end up obviously easily, getting there with a week to go. Then they add on the other win. They make the playoffs. Jordan Love has really come on, though, and he's just comfortable out there right now. How do you feel about this matchup against the Dallas Cowboy team that's just drilled everybody at home?
I feel better than the media is giving us credit for. That's for sure. I'm seeing everybody saying that they have no chance. This is the most lopsided game. Everybody and their mother's going to have a teaser with the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, well, they can have good luck with their teasers. I think the Packers can actually hang around. I like the spread here. My favorite bet here in this one is actually Aaron Jones on his rushing yards over. Dallas, middle of the pack rush defense, actually. They're good against the pass, but I feel like Green Bay's got to keep the offense off the field for Dallas. They have to run the ball down their throat, and this is not a shot at Jordan Love. He did a great job last week sealing the deal, getting the job done, but when I look at this running game, it was pretty much inexistent for this Green Bay team, and they were still able to get the job done, still able to gather all kinds of wins. Aaron Jones is healthy, and keep in mind, guys, he's one of the main leaders on this team. He really is a leader here. He's been around the block. Number currently is 69.5. He had over 100 yards last week. I like that one quite a bit. Slight lean to the under in this game, actually. I'm hearing everyone say shootout, but really, in my opinion, Packers defense looked good last week. I know the Cowboys are talented. They can burn you. But I think the run game is a huge part of it here for the Packers this week. And again, I say it every week here on the show, but I love how many options are out there for the Packers. You really don't know who the guy is going to be every week. That's really helped them. Gabe, credit to you for mentioning Reed as he continues to make a big play every single week. Yep. But I will say, favorite play here, obviously you guys know I've been on the plus 7.5, but I do like that over 69.5 rushing prop here, Aaron Jones.
I find it interesting. And I don't understand why. Shout out to everyone joining us on SiriusXM Channel 159. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid Radio Networks. I don't understand why, after they win a division, that Jerry Jones has to go and start talking about Mike McCarthy before the playoffs. And asked about Mike McCarthy and his future with the Dallas Cowboys. He said, well, we'll take it one week at a time. We'll see how we do in the playoffs. Like, why? Like, what do you need to threaten the guy for before? There's just always something. Just stay out of the way, Jerry, man. Like, just shut up, bro. You got a good thing going. You're hosting a playoff game. You don't need to, put pressure on the coach now. It's not the time. But he's playing against his former team in the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers are a live dog here, guys. But I will disagree, McKinnis. I'm part of the crew that believes that the game's going to go over. Listen, weather's not a factor. It's one of the fastest tracks in the National Football League. It's one of the reasons why Dallas is so good at home. They utilize their team speed on that carpet there. And I just think there's going to be chunk plays in the air for both teams. I think Jordan Love will be able to move the ball on them through the air. And I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to get big chunk plays with CeeDee Lamb and stuff down the field. So I actually like the over the game, but I do like the Green Bay Packers plus the points.
So do I. I'm going to take the Packers plus points. Let's remember one thing, everybody. When the Packers played in a controlled environment, being Detroit on Thanksgiving, they beat the Lions they beat them up. They didn't just win that game. They absolutely manhandled them. This team's getting better and better all the time. I think the carpet will be fine. I know Dallas is very, very good at home, but they have a lot of flaws still that Green Bay can expose. McInnes brings up a good point. You run Dillon and Jones all day. You pound them, set up the pass like Michigan ran their running backs against Washington. It's very effective. You can do that type of thing against Dallas, Gabe. I'm not sure about the total. All I know is I'm taking the damn Packers plus 7.5. I might even sprinkle on the money line.
McInnes, we've only got about 2 minutes left with you here. What else do you like in the NFL this week? Any other game catch your eye more than another one?
Experience is the biggest thing for me in the Chiefs and Dolphins game. Obviously, injuries are big as well. Chiefs rest their starters. Give me the -4 on the Chiefs. I feel like great season for the Dolphins, but all that talk about them against winning teams, the records, they're a great team, but I feel like the Chiefs can get after them. Everyone's talking down on this Chiefs team. Watch out for them. I believe that -4 is a good number. I will take it. Rams-Lions. Give me the under 51.5. I think that this is two teams that are actually going to play chess out there. Obviously, there's the quarterback stuff we're talking about with them swapping teams. Obviously, coaching staff there with McVay familiar with Goff, and obviously no Laporta. I think it's going to really hurt this Lions team. I like the under. I feel like this one actually could be kind of a chess match, heavy run game, and hopefully teams can make some good defensive stops. And then Eagles and Bucks guys kind of do lean towards the Bucks, but I'm going to go ahead and just take the over. I'm going to just take the over. I think that if the Eagles play well, they're going to give up points, right? And so I think the best play in that one is just to look towards the over.
I almost just assumed, the Eagles could beat the Bucks. Now I don't know. I'm not sure they can.
I don't know. Like, are they playing possum?
I'm leaning Tampa. I'm actually leaning Tampa right now.
I was leaning Tampa. I just think Philadelphia may be playing tricks. They could hit the reset button this week, but you're right. They're limping into the playoffs, and it's hard to have confidence laying 3 with these guys. I am, though, but I might regret it.
I'm not going to pretend, I have my finger and I'm talking to people in the Eagles locker room all the time, but I speak to people that are. Like, the Eagles are one team that I kind of do know stuff about. They have like a bad, it's not good there. Like, behind the scenes, it's not good. Like, with the coaches, the players, the players are turning on each other, the coaches are turning on each other. It's not a healthy situation. I don't know if there's a switch to flick, actually. I think a lot of guys on that team want the season to be over, and they want to get away. And what about McKissick? Man, it was a minute left. Edmonton nearly just scored, but Buddy on Chicago dove and blocked it. That Cleveland-Houston game is super tough to me, too, McInnes. What do you think about that with Stroud versus Flacco?
Look, I lost the last one. I had the Colts over the Texans, but I think the Browns get it done. I feel like the defense is the biggest advantage here in this one.
Andrew McInnes, why'd you talk? Oh!
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco -120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthier to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Bills going on the road to Miami Gardens, knocking off the Dolphins as 3-point favorites. They win it 21-14.
You want to lose like the Falcons did today, 48-17? That's probably bothersome. You want to win an ugly game when you throw 3 picks, but you end up winning the division? No one cares. Ain't nobody going to be talking about interceptions in the end zone tomorrow. You know what they're talking about? Hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers next weekend in the playoffs.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, let's do this thing. 35-31 right now for the Los Angeles Lakers. 8:57 left in the second quarter of play at the Crypt in Los Angeles. Thanks to Andrew McKinnis for joining us. We're jam-packed tonight. Rick Saratelli's going to step up in a couple of minutes from the Jersey Shore. A lot of football to talk about. Let's talk about the NFL playoffs a little bit. And McKinnis talking about the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs, Cameron. I find oftentimes weather is overly discussed. People talk about weather this and that. Number one, weather changes, so we always talk about these damn weather reports that are different by the time Sunday or Saturday arrive anyways. Even though it's supposed to be cold and it's sunny now. Oh, no one knew it was going to rain. Now it's pouring rain. No one knows. But, as far in advance, they kind of guess. Dude, I went to the Rose Bowl, Cam. It said for a month it was going to rain all day that day. I was in Vegas, Formula One. Oh, it's going to rain that weekend. It's going to ruin the race. It didn't, right? So you don't really know. But my point is, weather when it comes to the Miami Dolphins is a real problem. And they are one team. They're terrible in bad weather. It's not a myth. It's not like, wow, it's not as bad as it seems. No, it's bad. The Miami Dolphins, are arguably the worst cold weather team in the history of the NFL. In the past 10 games where the temperature is 40 degrees or below, they're 0-10. They've lost by an average of 17 points. But, Cam, dude, I don't know, was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was last year. 2 years ago, whatever. When Skylar Thompson started for the Dolphins, was that last year in the playoffs in the Bills?
And they almost beat the Bills.
Yeah, and it was the same thing. Yeah, it was snowy. It was bad. It was cold. Yeah. Dude, the Dolphins scored like 30 points in that game. It was like 37-28 or something like that. Like, the Dolphins didn't suck. They didn't win, but they were fine in the snow. Like, people think, well, you think the guys on the Buffalo Bills like cold weather? Like, no one does. Most of the guys are from Florida to begin with, Cam. Like,
yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes. That's what I say. People are like, ooh, Kansas City. Yeah, there's guys on Miami that went to, Rutgers and Notre Dame and schools that are.
Exactly.
Yes.
Some kid from Pitt or whatever. Like, yeah. People saying about Caleb Williams. Oh, he played at USC. He's from Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
He can play in cold weather. He's going to be fine.
Me and you, we don't have these bad, ice cold freezer takes or whatever. You got to think about reality of the situation. You know what the real problem is, Gabe? It's that defense. Van Ginkel got hurt against the Bills, and that's a big deal. He was the glue that was holding this team together. They got Ingram playing rush end. This guy just came off the couch. You saw what the Bills did to them in the second half.
I think they might be healthier, Cam. I got to believe all those dudes that didn't play against the Bills and stuff are just going to get cortisoned up and shot up and got sent out there, right?
Yep. I'm with you. I do like the Dolphins.
The thing is, though, Cam,
I can't lay it with the Chiefs. I can't
my
lay
point is,
4
though,
points.
it's going to be very cold in Kansas City on Saturday night. Like cold.
Yep.
All right. It's going to be like 30 degrees type of deal. So this isn't for me. I always talk about, the wind, the rain, and this, and that. This isn't a myth. The fact of the matter is it's going to be a frigid ass. And the Dolphins didn't get a break here by getting the Saturday night game. You know what I mean? Even in the wintertime, whatever you play during the day, the sun is out. It's not that bad. You're running around. Dude, it's Saturday night, bro, in Kansas City. It ain't going to be fun. It's going to be cold. The Dolphins are going to need to suck it up. But one thing, Cam, I brought up, the Dolphins can run the ball better than KC can. Like, if I'm the Dolphins, but McDaniel, to me, he's too pretty boyish, Cam. I think he's a good coach and stuff, but he's too cute with the slick back hair and the track pants. And, like,
actually, Gabe,
like
you hit the nail on the head.
They need to suck it. Like, he needs to say, listen, I don't give an F about the weather. And I tell him, the weather is cold. Good. Because I'm going to hand the ball off to you guys, and I'm going to punish you. Cam, guys hate tackling in cold weather, bro. You got a running back coming with his helmet down. It hurts your hand and stuff. It's all cold. These guys are humans. They're not machines, people. They don't like cold weather, bro. So you got a running back coming at you in cold weather. They don't like it. So if I'm the Dolphins, I just keep running, bro. Achane, Mostert, over and over, bro.
I agree with you 100%. Gabe, another thing about McDaniel is he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. You're actually playing the Bills tough, and then all of a sudden, you're second half, you're running the ball well, and you get away from it. You played right into Buffalo's hands. I think he's an overrated coach. I think he's a good offensive mind, but he thinks, you know what, Gabe? When you're the smartest guy in the room all the time, you almost get bored of just running regular play calls, and that's his Achilles heel. I'm with you 100%. The Dolphins will be successful if they run the damn ball in the cold. They can cover these four. Kansas City's not the same team anymore. But McDaniel, stop trying to be like Mr. Genius and just play a damn winter game and do exactly what you said. Pound the rock, quick little passes to Tua, little hitch in your giddy up, Gabe. None of these bombs and stupid things. You do quick little hitches and you run the ball. That's how you get comfortable in the cold and make the Kansas City Chiefs tackle you. Agree with the game plan 100%.
One thing, another bad note too, history. So like I said, the Chiefs are hosting a Dolphins team that are 0-10 when the weather is 40 or below. I saw another one that they're like 1-17 when it's like 45 or less. Anyways, facts. These are just facts. Tua is 0-4 in his career when the temperature is 45 degrees or below. Patrick Mahomes is 9-1 in his career when the temperature.
It's kind of a
the
problem,
Chiefs are 9-1, including 4-0 in cold weather games when it's 40 degrees or less. Like I said, it's going to be like 32 or something. It's going to be cold on Saturday night. That's why nobody likes the Dolphins in this game. I know they're injured, but I'm telling you, Cam, I think they held back a little bit against the Bills, knowing that they were in the playoffs anyways. So I think they're going to be a little healthier here. I don't know. They're kind of brittle, though, the Dolphins. I don't know if they'll survive this cold weather. I want to trust them. Listen, the Bills could get the winner of this game, most likely.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, we'll see what happens, but I'm not ready to dismiss the Miami Dolphins in this game. Like, the Chiefs are shaky, bro. Like, they have problems, the Chiefs. If the Dolphins show up, they can beat them.
Gabe, I'm telling you, I think maybe this line goes to, I don't know if it's going to go to 4.5 or go to 3.5, but I agree with you 100%. I think the Dolphins could win this game. I'm definitely going to take the points. Everyone's talking about KC, weather, and all this other stuff. This Kansas City team is a former shell of themselves. You've seen their offense. The defense is good, but Tyreek Hill also dropped too many balls. Nice revenge spot for him with Tua. He's going to be jacked up for this game, getting out of town where his house burned. Probably going on the road is a good thing. I think Miami, it's weird. Everyone just thinks Kansas City is going to roll these guys. I'm taking the 4 with Miami. We're reading each other's mail right now. I think Miami could win, so I'll definitely take the points.
I'll be honest. I sort of get the feeling, like you look at Miami, that they're going to be good in the first half. I'm going to take them in the first half. I can see Miami coming out. Mahomes is going to get it going as the game goes on. Miami seemed to play well early and then, quite frankly, choke late in games. But the Bills are good, right? So I'm not going to be too critical of the Dolphins for losing to the Bills. The fact of the matter is the Buffalo Bills are good, and the Bills just own them. They've beaten them 10 of the last 11 times that they played. KC can win this game. Like, it's a tough – if the weather didn't suck and it wasn't going to be as cold as it is, it's like, dude, it's going to be like 10 degrees, man. Like, all right?
I know.
Like, it's going to be cold. So, but it's, whatever. Football players can handle it, but it's a tough spot, but I think they can pull it off. The Browns and Texans is the one where I'm like, I don't know. Like that, this is what, anytime I change my mind or I don't know, it's best not to bet it. I'm obviously going to bet it, but it didn't jump off the screen at me. The one that did the most is, and I hate to say it because it sucks for them that they're back in the playoffs, but the LA Rams are going to beat the Detroit Lions. Like, they're going to beat them outright. They're going to go into Detroit, and they're going to beat the Lions. Dude, you got Sean McVay versus Dan Campbell, bro, in a playoff game.
Big coaching advantage.
I don't think this is going to end well for the Lions, bro.
I want to take the Lions so bad, but I have a lot of question marks as well. As for that other game, Gabe teased the dog, but I think Stroud, he's not an ordinary rookie. Cleveland's going to be tough. They're not home. They have to go on the road to Houston, and Houston's been good. I kind of lean Texans, but you're right. That game's difficult. Tease the underdog. I like the Lions, though.
I'm leaning with the Browns in that game.
It's tough.
I think the Browns experience, Flacco's experience, Jim Schwartz. I think Jim Schwartz could come up with a couple of crazy schemes that could confuse Stroud. This is SportsRage. Rick Saratella. Coming up next.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's all a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division. I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
A lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Bills going on the road to Miami Gardens, knocking off the Dolphins as 3-point favorites. They win it 21-14.
You want to lose like the Falcons did today, 48-17? That's probably bothersome. You want to win an ugly game where you throw 3 picks, but you end up winning the division? No one cares. Ain't nobody going to be talking about interceptions in the end zone tomorrow. You know what they're talking about? Hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers next weekend in the playoffs.
Football Full Circle. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the Pips, the Players, the Hustlers, the Rick Saratellas, and everybody else in between. All access football. Let's do this thing. Rick Saratella in the house. It's always a pleasure, my man. How you doing tonight?
Hey, happy to be here, chopping it up. A lot to get into. Fantastic time of the year, by the way.
Oh, it's a great time of the year. We've got football fever. We've got the NFL playoffs, the NFL draft, college football all-star games, and, don't forget about the USFL and the XFL merger. Kickoff is March 30th, I believe. But before we get to all of that, let's talk about Michigan's victory over the Washington Huskies. There's a lot of stuff to unpack here, and there's a lot of uncertainty moving forward. But before we get into the actual NFL draft stock and scenarios of the players that played last night, very impressive performance by the Michigan Wolverines. Football is won and lost in the trenches, Rick, and Michigan are damn good in the trenches, both sides of the football.
No doubt. Last man standing, right? By the way, I thought the College Football Playoff Committee got it right. For the record, they got it right. And so we saw, I think a 6-year Michael Penix experienced quarterback who kind of bullied his way through a cushion Pac-12 defensive schedule. I thought Washington was deserving. They put up a good fight. They took the best punch. They kept in the ball game, but we saw from the get-go, as you opened up, too physical, too deep, inside the trenches. And that 1-2 punch of Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum, they wiped the dust off of Donovan Edwards, who, oh, by the way, I think is a better NFL prospect than Blake Corum. We can get into that. But to me, I still do believe J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix are both first-round quarterbacks. I would say that McCarthy goes ahead of Penix. And, there was both sides of the coin with Penix in terms of his draft stock. You could state a case for why he played through a tough performance with the injury. You could state a case as to why he did not show up. So if you like Penix going in, you could find reasons why you liked him. If you didn't like Penix going in, you could find reasons why you didn't like him.
And J.J. McCarthy didn't have his best game per se. He just didn't, right? He was all fired up. He was just so jacked up. But the kid's 27-1, Rick. And let me ask you, as somebody that scouts players and talks to people that signs these players, how important to you is winning in the sense that J.J. McCarthy won a high school state championship? Like, to me, this stuff doesn't happen by accident. So, you won the Illinois State High School Championship. Then he went to IMG. Now he wins the College Football National Championship. Goes 27-1, Rick. His only loss was the TCU playoff game last year that really wasn't his fault. Michigan were trailing like 21-0 after like 7 minutes or something like that. But how critical is it to you? Because to me, I get it. Like, I don't look like, you know what I mean? Like Eli Manning, Josh Allen, all these quarterbacks that, whatever, they were on 6-6 teams in college. And hell, Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech wasn't very good. So I'm not saying that, your college football record matters so much. But I'm just asking you, it's hard to overlook a kid that just, wins in Pop Warner, wins in high school, wins in college. Hard to overlook that.
Dare I say the best Michigan quarterback of all time?
I think he is.
I think so.
Harbaugh was the quarterback there, and no one knows Michigan football like Harbaugh. And those are Harbaugh's words. He already said that before the game last night. He said JJ's the best quarterback, Michigan quarterback ever. People think, Tom Brady. Tom Brady was good at Michigan. And hell, he was the MVP of the Orange Bowl. But he didn't go 27-1. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? He was on a national championship team, but Brian Greasy was the starting quarterback. We're not talking best quarter. We're talking college quarterback. I can't disagree. J.J. McCarthy, greatest Michigan Wolverine quarterback ever.
Yeah, I think folks need to start paying attention to, they talk about the it factor. What is it? And we talk about that. And J.J. McCarthy is it, man. You talk about the body language, even when it's fourth and short. Like, no, we're not coming off the field. We're going for it. We're going to get the first down. Just everything, the way he looks into the camera, the rose in the mouth, he dreamt about it. He's got 5,000 cameras in his face. The kid's laser focused before the game. That's the ability to block out the noise. Like, not everybody can do that. Not everybody like Ryan Leaf, who has temper tantrums could do that. Not everybody like Geno Smith, who gets uppercutted by his teammate and has his jaw broken, can handle the noise, right? And J.J. McCarthy, through all the turmoil, through all the villaination we talked about, they tried to villainize Michigan with this cheating scandal. It was all fugazi. And McCarthy is the extension of Harbaugh. And I do think it's interesting because now Washington, who's in the market for Harbaugh, we talked about it last week, hiring Don Yee. Could McCarthy go as high as 2 or 3 if Harbaugh? I think those are the conversations when they say, hey, we want to talk to Harbaugh at D.C. Well, what's the plan? Is it Jaden Daniels? Is it your guy McCarthy? I think they want to find out there.
Great call. We're kicking it with Rick Saratella. I get the feeling that J.J. McCarthy, he's going to be a polarizing figure. And I saw last night people, oh, he sucks even though he wins. And it's just one of those Michigan things. And I get the feeling he's going to go a lot higher than people expect. Now, he hasn't even entered the damn draft yet. So he hasn't even entered. He hasn't even said yet. But I thought it was kind of telling last night after the game, immediately after the game. And like you said, he's a deep, introspective type of person. He was happy they won, but he goes, this is bittersweet because I know this is the last time we're ever going to be together. And then after he did an interview with the Michigan media, like the campus guy that he was a little closer with, and he got a little bit more open. He was like, man, I love all these guys. I'm going to miss them so much. Okay, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, all right, you're kind of telling us, aren't you? And at the same time, I'm thinking he probably knows Coach is leaving too, right? He kept saying, we're never going to be together ever again. But I don't know, bro. What's your gut tell you, Rick? Is Harbaugh going to take an NFL job?
Yes. And what else does McCarthy have left to prove? Like, I went undefeated. I
would tell him to go to the NFL,
year.
wouldn't you? Wouldn't you say, yeah, go to that dude? What are you going to go? It's time. Go. You might be a top 5 pick.
Without a doubt, he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's going to go on and have a long, successful career, I believe. And he's a pocket passing quarterback with size, with poise. But you saw it last night. Like, he can move the chains with his feet if needed. He's got that sneaky mobility, if you will. But, yeah, I'm a believer in J.J. McCarthy. And I did see, the Senior Bowl director, Jim Nagy, did mention that Michigan has more players with accepted Senior Bowl invites. I think there's about 11 or 12 players from the Michigan Wolverines alone. But out of respect for Coach Harbaugh, Coach Harbaugh asked him, can you not announce that until after the national championship? So I think you're going to have 11 guys in the Senior Bowl. You'll probably have another 11 underclassmen. Like, that Michigan Wolverines team is going to be gutted.
Yeah, there's going to be 20 of these dudes in the NFL though next year, isn't there? Like, they're just one.
And how about Sainristil still with the Houdini,
unbelievable
4th down tackle? I mean, like an octopus.
Great dude, man. Ankle tackles, he runs around, plays everywhere, bro. And how about Will Johnson? How good of a quarterback is Will Johnson? Because this guy lined up against Marvin Harrison Jr., lined up against Ndunze, and he didn't get lit up at all, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean, they got talent all around. There's going to be a lot of Michigan Wolverines drafted early, drafted often. The offensive linemen are as good as it gets. And I think that's, to my point with the running backs, like if you break them down, the big boy, Corum is good. He's next level. He's in that.
He's a little small for the NFL, though, isn't he? He's not an every down back in the NFL, right?
I think Donovan Edwards may actually be the better NFL running back prospect. Yep.
I don't know. Donovan Edwards never really got on track this year for whatever reason, but in big games, he did this against Ohio State. In big games, man, he just explodes. Big dude, got speed. Good guy too. You know what I mean? Him and Corum. There was never any. Michigan as a whole, they're a bunch of good kids. You're getting good football players and good teammates if you draft these guys. You mentioned Washington. I'm kind of interested by this. The owner has money, deep pockets, endless deep pockets. The owner wants to win. His brother's in Baltimore, little Harbaugh Beltway action. You know what I'm saying? The family would be sort of, all central right there. And the whole McCarthy thing, if you're Harbaugh, let's say hypothetically he becomes the coach of the Raiders or something, you're not controlling the draft. right? I mean, you won't, you know what I mean? You're not in control. Washington, hypothetically, if he got the Washington job, he could dictate it and tell them, I'm taking J.J. McCarthy as my quarterback. We're going to take him with the draft pick, just to let you know. We're not going with May. We're not going with Daniels. We're going with McCarthy, and I will become your head coach. Is that crazy talk?
No, and I think that's why they hired these Rick Spielman, right, is in on the decision-making process with DC. Myers from Golden State, who I don't know much about, except I guess he orchestrated this Golden State Warriors
Very
dynasty.
smart guy. Yeah, he's one of these slick, smart, new school guys. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of praise for the people that are involved with the decision-making process. Rick Spielman has 30 years of NFL front office experience, so I think the decision-making process is underway. Like, hey, what's the blueprint, coach? You've got the number 2 pick. Is it McCarthy? Is it Jaden Daniels? Is it Drake May? Like, because we are going to get some public, like, let's be honest now. If we take McCarthy that high, we are going to get some published backlash, right?
Yeah.
Based on the media.
That's what I said, Rick, and we're coming up against it, but that's why I said he's going to be polarized.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division. I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Bills going on the road to Miami Gardens, knocking off the Dolphins as 3-point favorites. They win it 21-14.
You want to lose like the Falcons did today, 48-17? That's probably bothersome. You want to win an ugly game where you throw 3 picks, but you end up winning the division? No one cares. Ain't nobody going to be talking about interceptions in the end zone tomorrow. You know what they're talking about? Hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers next weekend in the playoffs.
Football Full Circle. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The quickest 180 minutes in sports talk and television continues. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, SiriusXM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. Shout out to all of our television affiliates. We're kicking it with Rick Saratella right now. So, Rick, there are multiple teams in need of a quarterback. This is a fascinating draft coming up, isn't it? Like, from the uncertainty of what the Chicago Bears are going to do. Although I think they're going to keep Justin Fields. That's what my gut tells me, that they're going to keep Fields. They're going to trade the pick. Who's going to trade up for the pick, or will they trade Fields? You're not so sure about Fields?
I thought that was a goodbye. Talking about farewells in the press conference, didn't Justin Fields say his goodbye? I thought the writing was on the wall. I mean, we're talking about a possibly top 5 quarterback in the NFL, which is a Caleb Williams versus a guy that, really hasn't won a lot of ball games over the last 4 years. So I think it's a no-brainer decision if you're comparing the body of work in terms of Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields. Who has the more upside? Who has the more talent? Who do I want to roll the dice with or build my organization around? It's Caleb Williams 10 out of 10 times.
All right. So like I said, though, we don't know, right? We don't know. So let me ask you. So let me throw it out there right now. Make the call. What are they going to do? So you say you think they're going to take Caleb Williams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
take Caleb Williams.
You're on record. Just for record. You're on record. Listen, They could. I think people will like Justin Fields, like Atlanta.
Patrick, save the tape. The Chicago Bears are drafting Caleb Williams. We said it here on January 9th, 2024.
Yeah, it's locked in. It's locked in. Our boy Pat Foster's going to put a little X next to this, so we're going to remember this one.
Absolutely.
I'm fascinated by this. Like we said, I don't know. Are other teams going to move up? I don't know how many. All the time, Rick, every year, you've been around the draft a long time. Every year, it seems to me to be the same thing. I always hear what a great crop of quarterbacks that we have. And then whenever everybody actually sees them up close and looks under the hood, they don't like them as much anymore. And then it goes from, well, we thought it was going to be a great quarterback class, but next year is really, really the good one. Is that going to happen again this year? Or are people like, so everyone's like, oh, Bo Nix is top 10, Michael Penix is top 10. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. Right? I think Jaden Daniels is the interesting one that you just brought up. Let's talk about Jaden Daniels and how high he can climb.
Well, I think Jaden Daniels should be in the conversation as the top overall pick because he's very similar to a Caleb Williams, except bigger, right? Maybe not as polarizing with the arm strength, maybe not as accurate, maybe not as accurate on the move with the ability to improvise, but he can really run the ball, throw the ball. He's matured and he has improved his accuracy. I think when you're talking about in terms of upside, which is what I like to be about when I'm drafting franchise quarterbacks, I've now moved Jaden Daniels ahead of Drake May on my overall personal quarterback big board. So for me, it's Caleb Williams. It's then Jaden Daniels, then Drake May. I would then have J.J. McCarthy. And I have Penix slightly ahead of Bo Nix, but Bo Nix is the one quarterback that out of that whole bunch that is going to the Senior Bowl. So he's going to have an opportunity to kind of shine down there in Mobile and kind of boost his draft stock. But going back to your point about Jaden Daniels, like when you talk about a franchise quarterback, I prefer him as an overall prospect. Like I would like him more than C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young coming out. And, C.J. Stroud had a hell of a rookie season. So I would not be mad if Jaden Daniels, and I know, like, Bill Belichick is a big fan of Jaden Daniels. I don't know if he's going to remain in New England. I think they're picking 3. So I think that would be the landing spot if Billy Boy does stay in New England. But to me, you could see a polarizing draft where it is a Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, then Jaden Daniels. Suddenly Drake May could be the 4th quarterback off the board. And I know the number 1 overall draft props are popping up around, and Caleb Williams is the heavy favorite. But Jaden Daniels, I think Jaden Daniels is a dark horse.
What about Marvin Harrison Jr.? Like, this is what's interesting, because it could be all these teams taking quarterbacks. How far will he fall? Let me ask you, will Marvin Harrison Jr. be the first non-quarterback taken?
That's an interesting question because, like, if you're Chicago and you don't draft a quarterback, you're probably trading out of that pick. How far do you slide down? And at that point, do you want to protect Justin Fields or do you want to get him a big-time weapon? And
Listen,
I would
Arizona's
say that
the perfect landing spot, Rick, right? I mean, come on, man. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., they got the 4th pick, right? That's why I'm just fascinated by how this draft plays out. Let me ask you, though, quickly. I want to get your NFL picks for the playoff games, but is there a quarterback? Who's a quarterback that's flying under the radar? The guy that I want to throw a name at you is Cameron Ward, who is a big-time talent. And there's been talk about, is he going to transfer? Is he going to go to the NFL? And, what's he going to do? What's your take on Cameron Ward? Because he's not getting talked about a lot, but I get the feeling that, like, if he played another year of college football, we'd be talking about him in these conversations next year. Seems to be a pretty big-time talent, Rick. What's your take?
he's mobile. He's a good athlete. He has the potential. He hasn't put it all together yet. Now, he dipped his toes in the transfer portal. He tried to see what was out there for him with the NIL money, and then he accepted
FSU stuff. Yeah, sort of, But he hasn't signed with an agent yet, right? From what I understand, Rick. He's sort of in the middle.
He did accept an invitation to the East-West Shrine Bowl. So he's going to be at the East-West Shrine Bowl, which is typically for those mid-range. Now, Aiden O'Connell, I believe, was an East-West Shrine Bowl invite. So, he has that kind of cachet, but, I like what he brings to the table. He's about 6'2", 200 pounds. Has had some injury situations going on, but I think he dipped his toes in the NIL, decided to give it a go. Whether or not the East-West Shrine Bowl paid him some NIL, because I know Zay Flowers took some money to participate in that game last year. I don't know the situation, but he is going to be in this year's draft.
Rick Saratella kicking it with us. All right, Rick, let's get into the National Football League. And, over the years, one thing I remember that you have been right about is how good the Houston Texans are at the draft table and in the war room. And over the last couple of years, how they've built this franchise up. They clearly knocked it out of the park with C.J. Stroud. They bring in Will Anderson. And it wasn't just that. Stingley Jr. It's been a collective of a couple of years of this. It's not just one draft. But here we go. Can you believe that we have Joe Flacco versus C.J. Stroud in a playoff game, bro?
It's unbelievable, but defense and the run game travels well in the NFL in December and January football, and I think this is an under type of game. I love the magical carpet ride that Joe Flacco's riding, but I think it comes to an end in Houston. C.J. Stroud, he's got ice water in his veins, just too much going on. How about that catch by Nico Collins at the end? They missed the extra point.
Hail to the victor. Where'd Nico Collins go to school? Just wondering, huh?
Yeah. They just sweat it out a little bit, missing the extra point. But I just think that Houston, you're right. They've got this young nucleus. They're buying in with D'Amico Ryans has really built. You talk about culture. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, those are the guys you want to build a program around. I think Houston gets the W here in a low-scoring affair.
All right, the Miami Dolphins are getting 4 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's supposed to be very cold. And I bring that up because the Miami Dolphins, historically, when the temperature is 45 degrees or below, and it's going to be in the 30s, Tua's 0-4. He's never won. But, bro, they're like 1-19 type stuff. I think they might be 0-14, 0-15 type of run. We'll get the exact numbers as the week goes on here. But, depending on different temperatures, there'll be different numbers. But long story short, the Dolphins' offense historically has been terrible in cold weather. It's cliche to say that a team from Miami can't play in the cold, but they really don't do well in the cold. But it's kind of strange to me because the Dolphins at heart, his offense is a running the ball offense. So I'm not ready to fully dismiss this. And I know you don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are very good. This is a weird game. I mean, everyone just wants to write the Dolphins off because of the weather and stuff, but because they lost to the Bills, but they could beat the Chiefs, bro. What's your take on this one?
Oh, the Dolphins were winning most of that ball game against the Bills, so they have it in them. I don't think Mickey McDaniel should pack the capris and leave the aviators at home. It's not going to travel well into Kansas City. I think We talked about it.
I always got to take a puck shot, bro.
Hey, man, listen, I'll tell you what.
Capris and the glass.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Chiefs been there, done that. This time of the year, they'll get past. We're old enough now where we remember a super wild card in our generation. So they're experienced enough to get past the super wild card round. Give me the Chiefs here, and I think it'll be high scoring.
All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a lot of trouble without T.J. Watt. Let's just call it out for what it is. He's missed 11 games in his career. They're 1-10. Like they don't win when he's not there. Just point blank. He's that critical.
This is a blowout game. 3 interceptions by Mason Rudolph. Bills are going to cruise 35-10.
Packers are getting 7.5 against the Cowboys. Intriguing.
Yeah, this is my
intriguing.
This is my upset special. I like the Packers to win the game outright. I think Jordan Love is going to show what he's really made of. And I think if you saw, like, the Packers had a loss down there at the stretch, but leading up to that, they were playing really good football. I think the Packers are going to come in, punch them in the mouth, and stun them. Give me the Packers to win in a shocking upset.
Wow, Rick calling it out. You know what? I like where you're going with that. I was thinking about the Packers plus the points with Jordan Love, but Rick's saying money line. Obviously, I think the game that everyone's really looking forward to here, Stafford versus Goff, Detroit and the Rams. I think the Rams are a dark horse, bro. Like, I wouldn't want to play the Rams. And I love what the Lions have done, but, man, I'm getting Sean McVay versus Dan Campbell. Stafford going back to Detroit here. Detroit Rock City. What's your pick on this one?
Detroit is not really a contender. They're still pretenders. We've seen that throughout the season. And what you saw last week, the Rams rallying from behind, and the week before they took a big punch from the Giants cross country on the road, 2 big-time wins. I think the Rams are gaining momentum, and I think it's going to be hard to guard a Cooper Kupp and a Puka Nacua if you're any defense. So I like the Rams to win this game.
I like the Rams to win this game as well. I think the Rams can win this game. I think the Rams should go to the NFC Conference Championship game. Like, I think they're that dangerous.
I'm a believer.
And finally, in closing, the Eagles. What the hell's going on with Sirianni's crew, Rick?
This is the under of the week, the under special of the week. I mean, the points are going to be
44?
at a premium.
Well, really, you got
the playmakers injured for the Eagles. Tampa Bay really can't move the chains. Todd Bowles is a terrible coach, but he does bring a strong defense on a weekly basis. So this is like a 9-3.
They just won another division, right? Give him some love, bro.
Yeah, right. So this is like a 16-12. This is a baseball 9-3 kind of ball game. But I think the Eagles eke it out on the road, but I'm not sure at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those. Before coming in, I was like, the Eagles, they could beat. They'll beat Tampa, and then they'll be in trouble. But you're right. Now it's like, I don't know if they could beat Tampa.
There's a lot of people looking forward to hanging up the cleats, and I'm talking about Kelsey and Lane Johnson and Brandon Graham and so many aging stars and so many injuries. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown is banged up. Jalen Hurts is playing injured.
End of the road, you're saying.
It could be a one and done, and a lot of moving and shaking in the offseason in Philly.
Rick.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about 2 franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Bills going on the road to Miami Gardens, knocking off the Dolphins as 3-point favorites. They win it 21-14.
You want to lose like the Falcons did today, 48-17? That's probably bothersome. You want to win an ugly game where you throw 3 picks, but you end up winning the division? No one cares. Ain't nobody going to be talking about interceptions in the end zone tomorrow. You know what they're talking about? Hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers next weekend in the playoffs.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Always awesome stuff with our boy Rick Saratella talking NFL football, NFL draft. Our guy Mo Khan's going to step up and into level 3. We'll get into the NFL games this week as the countdown to kickoff is on. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Toronto Raptors are going at it at the Crypt right now. 67-62 for we the North. We're on the Raptors plus the points. We're on the Raptors on the money line. I've got Scotty Barnes over 18.5 points, Quickly over 4.5 assists, and AD over 41.5 points and rebounds. The player props are looking pretty good, actually. Quickly's already at 4. I don't know if he's got his 5th, but he's right there. And we also took an in-game over 231.5 in this game. So, talking about J.J. McCarthy, and I see our chat started to blow up as far as McCarthy, and it's funny because I said to Rick, I said, J.J. McCarthy is going to be one of these polarizing dudes leading into the draft. And I don't know if it's they don't like him, they don't like Michigan or whatnot. But there's going to be, he's not very good. We saw it last night. I'll be honest, he did not play very well last night. But fortunately for Michigan, they were a team, and each game, everybody sort of stepped up and did their thing. But J.J. McCarthy wasn't along for the ride for the Michigan Wolverines. It wasn't they're so good, any quarterback would have won. Now, I think that they were so good, and they would have been really good, with me at quarterback type of deal, right? They went 12-1 with Cade McNamara a couple of years ago too, right? So, they're a winning football team, but let's not kid ourselves. Michigan hadn't won a title since 97, and they've had a lot of good quarterbacks over the years. Right, J.J. McCarthy, as Rick stated, he's got that it factor about him. Won a high school state championship in Illinois. Now just won 27-1, guys. Imagine. He played 28 games as a starter in 2 years at Michigan. He lost once, man. All right, he lost one effing football game. That was to TCU in the playoffs last year. Now we'll get into where he's going to go in the draft. And remember, what I think and what you think is irrelevant because we don't make the decisions for NFL football teams.